Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation today is from Bavan Akhri, composition of the fifth Nanak, and the recitation. Salok Tute Bandhan Jas ke Hoa sadhu sang Jo rate rang ek kai Nanak gooda rang Pauri हरारा रंग हो या मन अपना हर हर नाम जप हो जप रसना रे रे दरगह कहे न को आओ बैठ आदर सब देव वहाँ महली पावे तू बासा जन्म मरण न होए बिनासा मस्तक कर्म लिखयो तुर जाके हर संपै नानक घर ताकै. So in this passage, Guru Arjan is giving us an indication of how to break the addictions and perversions of the ego mind. In other words, how to shatter the fetters of Maya. And he says that happened to me, he says, when I was initiated into the path of Gurmat by the enlightened being, Sadhu Sang. Tute Bandhan Jas ke hua Sadhu Sang. When the enlightened being, referring here to the Guru, initiated me into the path of Gurmat, the fetters of Maya was severed. And then he goes on to say, they who are drenched in the love of the divine find their abode in eternal consciousness. In other words, the mind finds itself. So sadhu sang, association or assembly with a perfected being, one who has manifested the self within. Siddh karna, sad is one who manifests the self that is within. And it's also, sadhu sang is also a reference to the relationship that exists between a Sikh, an initiate, and a guru, a teacher. Now, most Indian systems have this, but Gurmat has its own process of initiation, because without the guidance of the Guru, which is both a teacher and a method, progress on the spiritual path is virtually impossible. And then the Guru expands on the process. He begins by saying, first, recite the word of Gurbani, Shabad. That's your first practice. If you don't do it today, begin. Articulate with the tongue the Sabad of Gurbani, and then pay close attention to what you're articulating. That is the process of Nam Japana. That's how it begins. And gradually that imbues the mind with divine love, range e man apana. And once that happens, the mind finds its way to the dargah. Dargah consists of two words, dar and gah. Dar is a door that gives you access. Gah is a place. Here it is referring to that sacred space within. And so it is the sabad that will take you to that door. And re re dargah kahena ko is an implication that it has, you could read this two ways. One is that once you begin this process and you are filled with divine love, then in the assembly of enlightened beings, you will be welcome and honored. Ao bat adar sabdev. You could also read this to say that the mind leaves behind its frustrations and disappointments when it progresses on this path. You see? And then it recovers its dignity and its center. Adar is honor. You could read that as the mind finding its own inner sense, inner dignity. And in that domain, now we are referring here to different levels of the same consciousness. Consciousness is multidimensional. So we are beginning here with ordinary ego consciousness, and the Shabad takes you deeper and deeper into the core of your being. And through that process, the Guru says, Janama maran na hoye bin se, fear of death, the illusion of birth and death will perish. The mind will leave its disappointments behind. It will become inspired. But all of this happens to those who are so destined. In other words, you have to be motivated. Likhyo tora jaake. Likhyo, literally this phrase means if you are so graced, tor, if it is meant to be, in a sense true, but it also means if you are motivated and you apply yourself, then in your heart you will find the self. That is the method. Starting from audible, articulate voicing of the Shabad, it will become like muscle memory, automatic. And when that happens, the mind gradually finds access to its own self. It is actually a journey of self-discovery. And here we are using consciousness and mind almost interchangeably, because the consciousness is not just empty. It is imbued with a mind as well, with intelligence. So we use the term somewhat interchangeably. Is to actually, this is really what is being asked of us, is through this process of japa rasana, this is what Nam Japana is. That's how it begins, with an articulation of a sound. That becomes, over the process, automatic. And so that takes you to the core and depth of your being. And that state is one of ecstasy and bliss, from where one does not return. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.